Flipping properties is a pretty big undertaking, and every project is kind of different. You can have some projects where it's just paint and carpet and it only takes a couple weeks, or you can have projects where you are fixing foundations, making additions to the property, opening walls, moving plumbing and electric. So every project is different. However, I do feel that most flips follow a few key phases. So today I want to spend a few minutes to take everyone through key phases of a flip and some important steps within each phase. And I'm going to use my current project, the strip and flip project, which you may have heard of on some other videos. I'm going to use that strip and flip project that I'm working on to illustrate how these steps come to life in my particular case right now. So let's start looking through the process and the timeline of a flip. So I'd like to break it down into 3 phases, and really there's kind of a pre-phase as well, phase 0. So we'll start with phase 0, and that's the property search. And the reason I call this phase 0 is because you could kind of constantly be in this phase if you want to be flipping a lot of properties, or maybe it just takes you a while to find a property to flip. So it's a very long phase that's not actually part of the renovation, but you do want to make sure you're thinking about that part of the process. Phase 0 is really where you're doing things like market research. So what area do you want to be flipping in, and do you really know that area inside and out? Have you seen the properties that are going up for sale there, how quickly they sell, what level of finishes they have, what types of people are coming in to look for homes in that area, and what you think they want in a home? Market research is very important and probably the first step you should be taking if you're thinking about flipping a property. I currently live and invest in St. Louis, and I chose to focus on flipping in areas that are within 10 minutes of my own home, because that means I really know the market. I know who lives in these areas, what's around them, what the homes are like, and the property that I'm currently flipping, the strip and flip house, is 7 minutes from my primary residence. So you know that I know this market really well. Once you've done some market research, you really want to make sure you take that market research and define your personal criteria for a flip too. And I think this is a thing that a lot of people skip, but if you don't go into a flip with an idea of what you want to get out of it, both in terms of experience and the money that you make from it, then it's going to be a really weird journey for you. So I think that you should know what kind of flip you want to do. Are you preferring an easy paint and carpet flip? Do you want to really reimagine a space and take down walls and move things around? Are you looking for something in between? Do you like to take on the weird properties or the properties with major foundation issues that other people don't want to buy? Whatever the case is, do your market research and then determine what your criteria are for a good flip for you. And that, of course, includes how much you want to make. So I like to look at it in terms of the number of months you're going to spend on a property and how much money do you want to make per month for your effort on that flip project. If you're only doing one flip at a time, you might want to look for really high margin deals, whereas if you kind of constantly have a couple flips going, maybe you're happy with a little less per month per property because you know you're going to have 3 properties going at a time. Whatever the case is for you, make sure you understand the types of projects you want and how much you want to make from them. Also, in the property search phase, you should be networking. This is not only to find a deal, but also to find all the people who are going to help you through that renovation project. So you need to be figuring out who the good contractors are, who the people are for refinishing floors or replacing windows or fixing foundation issues. You also want to be looking for lenders. If you find a property, yes, if it's a good deal, you'll probably find money fairly easily, but you don't want to be scrambling when you're already under contract or about to go under contract to find that money. You want to know you have someone kind of waiting in the wings to lend to you if you need to borrow money, whether it's a bank, a hard money lender, or a private lender. You might also use this time to set up a line of credit if you have some equity in your own home or across some other properties that you own, or to gather cash together if you're in a position where you could fund a deal by yourself. But make sure that you're networking and you're getting the right people and tools in place so that when you have a deal come to you, you're ready to move quickly. And then finally, running numbers. Of course, as you're doing this property search, you need to be running numbers on a lot of properties, as many as it takes to find the one that makes sense for you and fits those criteria that you set up. So phase 0, property search. You're doing market research. You're determining your criteria in terms of both the experience and the money that you want to make from a flip. You're networking and you're running numbers. Phase 1, this is planning and acquisition of a property. So in my example of the strip and flip property that I'm working on right now, my property search actually only took a week. This is because I've been investing in real estate for almost 10 years now. I have a really good network in the area. I know the area really well. So when I decided I was ready for a flip property, and this is my first flip in several years, I started talking about it at a networking meetup one night, and exactly a week later, someone sent me a deal. and I was under contract really quickly. I think the next day I went under contract on that deal. So my property search phase was only a week, thanks to all that pre-work I had done in the past and the fact that I'm already active in real estate in the networking scene here in St. Louis. Now, planning an acquisition for me only took 2 weeks. This is thanks to the fact that I was buying from a wholesaler who's also a friend, so it's someone I know and trust and interact with regularly anyway. We both know how to get deals done really quickly, so from the time I went under contract to close the property was only 2 weeks. So phase one, planning and acquisition, it took me 2 weeks on the strip and flip property, and here's the parts of that planning and acquisition phase that I went through. So first was creating the initial renovation plan. It's important to remember that the details of your renovation plan are probably going to evolve over time. The first plan that you put down on paper, you're going to be forgetting some details, or some things will change as you go. Maybe you open up walls and there's a surprise. But you need to have a good outline and budget to start with. And hopefully it's not too far off from where you end up, but just know it's going to evolve and change over time. So you create your initial renovation, and then you complete your due diligence. So whether this is having inspectors go through or contractors or both, you want to make sure you look at all the aspects of the property beyond just the initial walkthrough that you do before you make your offer. And you really get a solid idea from both contractors and inspectors about what to expect with this property. So I had the contractors who work on a lot of buildings. I didn't feel the need to have a building inspector, but I did bring a sewer lateral inspector in to do a sewer lateral inspection for me because I had some concerns about that. Luckily, it turned out to be a non-issue. There's a very minor repair we can make, and it's going to work out well. Once you've done the initial renovation plan and you've completed due diligence, then you're going to move on to securing your financing. So kind of as you're going through these things, you want to be talking with whoever you are going to be using for lending on your project. But as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different ways you can finance a flip. Sometimes a bank will finance a flip. They tend to take a little bit longer to get through the process than maybe a private money or hard money lender. I'm using a private money lender on this particular project. You can also use a line of credit to fund a flip. If you have maybe a bunch of equity in your primary home, or as I have a portfolio of rentals with equity in them, I have a line of credit set up on those rentals. And so I do sometimes use that line of credit as well for projects. Maybe you even have personal funds. You could be borrowing funds from your Roth IRA. There's certain ways to set that up. I won't get into the details on that here, but there are a lot of different ways that you can fund a flip project. Just make sure that when you're running numbers like we talked about and planning your renovation budget, that those holding costs and financing costs are included in how you run those numbers. And if you watched the video before this where I did the walkthrough of the strip and flip, both a physical walkthrough and then a walkthrough of the numbers, you'll see how I walk through calculating the renovation budget, the holding costs such as taxes and insurance and utilities, and also the financing costs of the project. Once you have your renovation plan, you've done due diligence, you've got some financing lined up, then you need to prepare for closing and actually close on the deal. So preparing for closing can include just a lot of little things going on, a lot of paperwork, a lot of back and forth with people. You want to make sure you're responding to the title company needs, you're tightening your renovation plan as you learn more through the due diligence process, and you're scheduling utility turn on, etc. Once you've actually closed the deal, you've signed all the documents, you've funded the project, then you need to make sure that you get over there and you change the locks. You put a lockbox on the property so that contractors can get in when they need to, and you're just ready to hit the ground running with the next steps of the project. All right, so planning and acquisition phase one includes creating that initial renovation plan, completing due diligence, securing financing, and then preparing for and closing on the deal. So phase two, renovation, is what everyone's thinking about. Once you have closed on your project, it's time to finalize that renovation plan. And you might be thinking, oh, you want that done right away before you even close, and then the day you close, you're starting on demo. And if you can make that happen, that's great, but oftentimes it's going to be difficult to get enough vendors through, enough contractors through, to get enough information to really start with demo the day of or the day after closing. Oftentimes you do need a few more days or maybe 1 week to finalize your budget, finalize your plan, finalize which contractors you're going to use on this project, and then get them all scheduled. So right after closing, you want to spend those few days to a week finalizing your renovation plan. This involves collecting your final bids, hiring the contractors that you've selected, scheduling the work that they're going to do out for the next few weeks or few months, however long your project is going to take. Beginning the permitting process, usually your contractors will do that for you, but make sure you're clear on that. And if not, you need to do it. I highly suggest having your contractors do it for you. Then begin ordering materials. You won't need to order everything right off the bat, but make sure you're ordering things with enough time in advance that you're not going to slow the project up as you go through the process. And then finally, my favorite tip in this phase is to set up MLS alerts to inform your journey. So as soon as I closed on my property, I went into the MLS, or if you're working with an agent, ask them to do it for you. And I set up an alert to tell me every time a new house in this area that's similar to the house I'm renovating hits the market or goes pending or closes. I want to know what's happening in the market around me as I do this. And then as I see what the market is doing currently around me, I know if I need to flex my plan just a little bit to make sure that this renovation is going to be as successful as possible. So you finalize the renovation plan and then the actual renovation begins. And generally speaking, there's a whole lot of different ways renovations can happen, but generally speaking, you're probably going to follow a certain order of operations in most cases, where you start with clean out and demolition. So if you need to remove junk, demo walls, take out the old kitchen and bath, that's step one. Next, you'd move on to any structural work if you have any. So that's repairing foundations, repairing cracks, putting in new beams or posts where needed. From there, you'd move to the mechanical structures, so a new roof over the top. You don't want rain coming in on the work that you've done, so make sure you do some of those things first to protect the work that you're doing inside. This could also include things like electrical and plumbing rough-in. If you're doing new kitchens and baths and things like that, you want to make sure that that's all done before you're closing up walls and putting in your new finishes, of course. And then maybe HVAC and water heater. Those could be a little more flexible in terms of where in your timeline you do them, but generally speaking, it's after structural and before finishes that you're going to do a lot of these mechanical systems. So clean out and demolition, then structural work, then mechanical systems, and then you move to those interior finishes. And this is the HGTV stuff that we all see where it gets really exciting. You start to insulate and drywall, put down flooring, install cabinets and countertops and the hardware. There's trim and painting and new doors and light fixtures. All the fun, pretty stuff goes in next. And this is really going to be some of the stuff that you do at the end, where it's all the beautiful things after you've done the inner work of the building. So once you have those interior finishes done, then you'll kind of move outside and do any cleanup or landscaping type things you want to do right before. Oh, hello, Mittens. My cat has joined us. Then you'll go outside and do any of the exterior detail work that you want to do before listing the property. I tend to like to do some of the landscaping stuff toward the end because I want it to be really fresh and clean for when I'm actually listing the property. So this might include trimming trees and bushes, planting new flowers and any garden beds, sprucing the area up in terms of landscaping. So once you've done the interior finishes and some exterior finishes, then it's just time for those final touches and inspections. You want to make sure you pass any final inspections for any of the work that has been done. Maybe you also have to get an occupancy inspection done before you list it, or before it sells at least, and the sooner probably the better to get that done. You'll want to make sure you clean it and then maybe stage it, depending on your market and if other properties in your area are generally staged when they go on the market. Again, this is a good reason to set up those MLS alerts early so you understand how other properties are selling and what they're doing to get them sold. So final touches and inspections, and then depending on where you live, but here in Missouri, we do something called filing a notice of intended sale. Now, what this is a document that you file stating that you intend to sell this property. It makes everyone aware, including contractors, and you're supposed to file this at least 45 days before you actually sell the property. What this does for you and for the future buyer of the property is it helps protect against any surprise mechanics liens. So hopefully you're getting lien waivers signed along the way as work is done as well, but this notice of intended sale makes sure that contractors can't come back after the sale and say, hey, you still owe me for that new roof I put on, or scare the buyer out of buying it because they claim that there's more money owed on the property. So that notice of intended sale, when you think you're about 45 days to maybe 60 days out from actually getting the property sold to a buyer, make sure you do that notice of intended sale. And again, that's something that I know you have to do in Missouri. I think there are similar things in other states. You can just do a simple Google search or use ChatGPT to look up what is relevant in your area. So that's phase 2, renovation. Generally, this is the biggest chunk of your project. So in my example with the strip and flip, I think that it will take about 9 to 12 weeks total to get through all of these parts of phase 2 renovation. So that's finalizing my renovation plan. That's what I did last week. Clean out and demolition happens this week. Structural work, mechanical systems, interior finishes, landscaping, final touches and inspections, and of course, making sure that somewhere in there I'm filing that notice of intended sale. So that brings us to phase 3, which is selling the house. I'm expecting this to take about 4 to 6 weeks for my property, this really depends on where you are in market conditions and how quickly things are moving. Obviously, if people are going to be using bank loans, it usually takes at least 45 days to close after 30 to 45 days to close after you have an accepted contract. There are a lot of pieces that go into this, just like all the rest of a renovation plan. But I would anticipate in the current market that I'm in that my strip and flip property will take between 4 to 6 weeks from the point that I get it marketed and on the MLS to the point that I close on the sale of the property. So what does this 4 to 6 weeks entail? Listing and marketing. So I am an agent, so I will list and market it myself. I will hire someone to come in and do photos, and then I'll put together that listing and get it out on the MLS. But if you are hiring an agent, then make sure you're contacting them and getting things set up with them a few weeks prior to when, at least a few weeks prior to when you're planning to list it, so that they are ready to go the second that you are done and able to get photos and get that out there. This also includes, of course, showing and negotiations. You or your agent might choose to have an open house or just make sure that it's open and ready for people to come through and view, and that you're ready and able to answer all questions and to take in any offers and negotiate back and forth as needed. Once you've gotten through the listing and the showing and negotiations and you have an accepted contract, then it's another process of getting to the closing table. This process will include finalizing contracts and any paperwork back and forth with title companies as needed. You might need to address any inspection needs that come up during the buyer's due diligence process. Eventually, you will finally close and transfer that ownership and pay off your lender if you used a lender. And then you might think that's the end of it, but I do think there are a couple important things to remember post-close. Remove the lockbox. Turn off the utilities in your name so you're not continuing to pay the buyer's electric and gas. Finalize your bookkeeping so you really understand and have a true picture of exactly how much you made on the project. And then celebrate your success, whether that's putting together a social media post showing before and after pictures and sharing that you just completed a project, or going out to a nice dinner with family or friends. Whatever the case is, celebrate your win. You've just completed your project, and it's time to maybe start looking for the next one already. It's up to you. As I mentioned earlier, the timeline for a renovation can really vary from project to project. In my strip and flip example, I'm going to run one more time through what I think the timeline will be for this one. So phase 0, property search, only took me a week from the time I said, hey, I want a new project, and I was sharing that with people at a networking event, to the time that someone sent me one and I put it under contract. Phase 1, planning and acquisition, took me 2 weeks. So from the time I went under contract on the property to the time that I closed at the title company was 2 weeks of creating my renovation plan, having initial discussions with contractors, doing my due diligence, securing financing, prepping for closing, and actually closing on that deal. Phase 2, renovation, I'm anticipating 9 to 12 weeks on this particular project. My contractor has actually said 2 months, but I always expect there to be a little bit extra or some surprises along the way. So I think it could take up to 3 months, and I'm totally okay with that for this project. And then finally, phase 3, selling the house. We're in an interesting market right now, but I know that I've bought in a really great area. It's a desirable area. It'll be hitting the market anywhere between mid-May and mid-June, which is a great time to sell. So I anticipate that my selling phase will take 4 to 6 weeks. So there you have it, a down and dirty look at the start to finish process of a flip and what that timeline and the major phases of that flipping timeline are. Let me know below what your questions are, and make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to be documenting this whole process of my strip and flip project and sharing all the ins and outs of flipping this house, the single family house here in the St. Louis area. I think it'll be really interesting and informative, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.